Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Talk Podcast. It is a quiet morning. I'm sitting here in the kitchen, and for whatever reason, I just felt the need to start recording a new episode. And we have been talking about different things lately. I've been sharing some short clips about, people making pranks and trying to be funny. I talked about the unfortunate situation that I'm still not really clear about when it came to that woman who got married to a monster, the trophy wife. We talked about some people who are mismanaging their finances, and we also kind of dived into the gossip of the relationships, things that were not going too well. If you remember, Caleb Hammer, the financial audit. So quite a lot, different content here and there, things to laugh about, if you want to put it that way, some things to actually think about. And I remember saying that it is important with all that we consume to be very mindful. And I remember starting the Talk podcast not only because I wanted to talk about relationships, feminism, and share here and there some reactions to some gossip. No, because I really wanted to dive deep into concepts like, being more accountable, responsible, being more mindful. And I'm not just doing this because I want to sit here and sound smart and speak to the world. I'm actually doing this for myself to some degree, right? So the topic today, or whatever came up to my mind that I'm asking myself is, can I give what I expect? And now this is a great question because this is not only suitable in a relationship aspect when you're with someone, you're dating someone, you're in a relationship, you're looking towards marriage and you're asking yourself that very important question. But for anyone who's listening, and some people are not always interested in talking about relationships, or people find themselves in different sector of life, this question is actually suitable for every area of your life. You can flip this and ask this within your friendships. Can I give what I expect? You can take this and, implement this question within your household. You can take this question amongst your peers and ask this in work. Am I given what I expect? You can take this and ask yourself, right? Sometimes we don't do that enough, to be honest. We want to ask so many questions about everyone and everything else, but can you give yourself what you're actually expecting of yourself? In that sense, I know it sounds confusing, but look, hear me out. So I have certain expectations to myself, right? I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. I have certain ideas that I'm, working towards. And I'm just telling my body constantly, work, do, function, more. But can I actually give myself what I expect, the grace and some peace and some time to rest? Because all these that I'm trying to force my body, my physical being to achieve, the end goal is to have some grace, to have more peace, does that make sense? But can I, in that journey, find ways to give that to myself? Very confusing. I can see that for some people, they'll be like, what the hell is she talking about? But let's make it more digestible and take this on a relationship aspect. Probably, like most people, I like to think of myself as, I'm a great person. I would say that I'm quite reflective. I do a lot of overthinking. And yes, I've learned that overthinking is not always the best because you just end up in cycles sometimes. But, I really try to reflect on my actions, on my attitudes and whatnot. I think that is a good thing to do. And recently I really had to catch myself thinking about, am I really able to give what I'm expecting? And one aspect of it that I recently had to kind of admit to myself that I struggle with without knowing, maybe because I've been used to having it always quick, kind of my way, not necessarily 100%, but kind of my way, right? And it was patience, right? I can sit there with you and listen, come up with a lot of understanding and whatnot, but patience in a way that you might have to remove yourself and not be the first priority, even if that is what you started off or that is what you both want, but you might have to show some patience in the sense of holding back a bit. You might have to show some patience in the way that you choose to show passion and love, because sometimes people are not in the right headspace to appreciate that love, right? Or that care that you have. So patience was something that I kind of struggled with. And please don't get this wrong, because that doesn't mean, oh my God, I'm always rushing, I'm always hasty. No, that is not what I'm saying. I mean, to give patience towards the other person and say, look, I'm not going to put my ideas onto you. And the same thing that I want you to give me, I'm willing to give it to you now. I am willing to create that space for this to grow. And that can be difficult to do, because you come into, in this case, a relationship, as we said, was the example, with your idea on how things are going to go. And sometimes that other person, they match that idea, and in or on the way, things might change, right? So can you give what you expect? Let's take honesty, for example. Can you give the level of honesty that you expect from the other person? Sometimes when we ask each other questions, if I propose a question to you, a lot of the times I already know the answer. We do, right? Or we come with assumptions that are quite close to the answer. But it's still very much different when the person you're talking to spills the answer, when they say it out loud, and you now have to sit in the uncomfortable truth, right? What to do with that? Because you are expecting someone to show you the truth and tell you the truth. Can you give that? And by giving that, I mean not only you being honest to that person, but can you give the respect that it takes to sit in there without judging? Or that takes me back to the we listen and we don't judge trend. Now, you guys can tell I'm not doing that. That's not where I'm going with this, but just took me back there. So now, continuing, we had peace, we had honesty, and these are definitely expectations that we want, we put on other people, on situations. And if we want that, are we actually giving that to ourselves? Like, the honesty part is one that I know for a fact that a lot of people struggle with. No one is going to say anything, but we all struggle with that. Are you really honest to yourself? Am I really honest to myself in so many different aspects? If you ask yourself this question, just sit in the kitchen for a minute, make yourself a coffee, you will realize that in so many areas of your life, you are not, but yet so many times why is it so easy for us to just come up with these expectations, right? Like, oh, I want this person to say this and be like this and all this. It's so easy. So I guess for whatever reason, I'm sitting here, obviously overthinking and reflecting. And I'm trying to just do this more, right? Be more honest to myself. And when it comes to the patience, do you give yourself patience, right? That you have the expectation towards someone else. So I give myself the patience in a sense that with patience comes also the harsh understanding that, okay, if it's not going to work now, whatever it is, you need to swallow that pill and you need to move on. So that is something that I know a lot of us will or are struggling with. You can take these two things, and especially the last one, and take this into a career path or your job experience, right? There are some people who find themselves in a career path which they know this is not what they desire to do. They're not good at it. They don't enjoy being there. But they are just not honest to themselves because it would cause you to have to make harsh choices. Now, some people, I'm not talking about, people who just don't have any option, but I'm thinking of it would force you, if you have the option, to look somewhere else, to sit there, to start over, to, start digging deep. What are your skills? Where could you go? You have to change environment. All these things would force us, me, whoever, to tap into the uncomfortable. And we don't want to deal with the uncomfortable. I think I should have called this dealing with the uncomfortable. And when it comes to the peace part within your work environment or your career, right? Sometimes there are people, they have a great career, great job, whatever, in terms of earning, but it is so full of stress. It is a harsh environment. It is hours of work. It is, I don't know, just not the best place to be. So it doesn't give them the peace that they need. They drag the negative experience that they have in their work life back home, for example, and that creates more tension, right? Now, to give yourself peace would also mean to evaluate and say, is this the right workplace? Now you need to make harsh decisions. You might have to say, I'm leaving. I don't want to do this anymore. What is that going to mean for your family? You see how the snowball just keeps going? But yet, okay? I'm not trying to make this a scary thing. I feel like it's switching. But yet, it is important to actually ask yourself these questions. All the things that we are expecting from other people, from our life situations, from our environment, are we actually giving it to ourselves, right? So, one more thing. I have been seeking peace of mind for some time now. And it came up in a different way, not because so much is happening and, drama here and drastic here. I think everyone deals with some things in their lives, right? I would say that is normal. It's a part of life. But yet the idea of seeking peace of mind is just such a different feel that I, for now, don't really have the right words for. But follow me. So I've been seeking this and I'm just trying to think, how can I get there? And I'm realizing I can only get there if I try to give, or I really give myself more of those things that I'm trying to expect the world to give me. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to be more mindful. I'm trying to be more honest to myself and oh yes, that is a difficult one. Because, you tell yourself, you know what you want, you know what you like. And sometimes the things that you're struggling with, you just don't want to admit to yourself that is a part of you. Because, you just, to be very honest, I guess the biggest judgment that I receive is actually for myself. I don't know if anyone else thinks that way. I would be interested if some other people really... It's not really about what other people think. You are your biggest... I'm my biggest concurrence. Is that even the right way to say it? I'm judging myself with so much that I'm trying to let go of. And that is the path where I feel like honesty needs to be the key in my life. And not that I'm going through life lying to myself, but really, guys, do it. Sit in the kitchen on a silent morning with your coffee or whatever beverage you like and ask yourself, am I really honest to myself? Can I give what I expect from others? Can I give the peace and patience and honesty that I expect from the world? Am I giving these things to myself, or am I just telling myself, function, keep doing, because that is what you're used to? Not that these things are not true, to work and, keep going and better yourself and fight for the things that you're dreaming of in that sense. That's not what I'm saying, but I hope you guys get what I mean. So don't mind me. It's a silent morning. I think we will be having more of these free thoughts just going around my head. And I hope truly that there is something that someone took out of this. And I would be interested to know, is anyone out there who thinks the biggest judgment actually comes from themselves? And also, I would like to know if anyone sat there on a quiet morning with their coffee and tried this. Like, it's not going to be a one-time thing. It's going to be something you probably have to do more. Don't force it, but I will try to do it more for sure. So see you in the next one. Hope you enjoy. Bye.